Congressman Ro Khanna is now joining us here on the show. He's the co-chair of the Congressional Caucus on India. Many thanks for speaking with NDTV. My first question is with regards to the meeting that you're having to strengthen India-US relations at the Hill. What issues are expected to be discussed during this meeting, and what will the focus be on?
Well, it's a historic summit. First time ever the India Caucus has convened our State Department, Commerce Department, and members from the Indian American diaspora to discuss how we strengthen the U.S.-India relationship. We will be examining how to strengthen the defense ties. That's why Secretary Mattis, our Defense Secretary, will be leading us off. We will be discussing how to strengthen the economic ties, how to make sure that India emerges as a hub in Asia for manufacturing, not China. And we will be discussing how do we strengthen the ties between our people through travel, through tourism, and of course people visiting as students here in the United States.
What particularly with regards to the economic ties are you looking at, especially with regards to trade? Because though we've seen the GSP being revoked earlier on, trade seems to be going ahead pretty smoothly between the two sides.
Well, I think we want to see from the United States perspective more market opportunities in India. It's a vibrant country. It's got a very young population, a very booming middle class, and that creates a lot of opportunities for our companies, particularly in my district in Silicon Valley. But we also want to look at the move from manufacturing away from China to India. I was with Tim Cook, Apple CEO. He was talking about the Apple stores he's setting up in India, the manufacturing facility in Bangalore. We want to see how we can have more of that happen in terms of the Asian market.
What about issues like immigration, green card, visa issues? Are those on top of the agenda as well?
They are. We actually have a number of people speaking to that. You know, one of the challenges has been people who are on an H-1B visa here. Sometimes they're waiting 10, 15, 20 years before being able to get a green card. That was never the case 2 decades ago. That has to be fixed. I've said there shouldn't be country quota caps and have sponsored that legislation, and we're going to be seeing what progress we can make on that. Also, there's been a backlog, as you know, for tourists visiting or business leaders visiting America, and we have the State Department person overseeing that to address that issue.
One issue in particular that has come up, over the last few years is also that of Indian children who had gone to the U.S. With their work visa holding parents, and now they are beginning to face immigration issues. As you yourself pointed out, the wait for green card is also long there. This puts them in a pretty difficult situation, doesn't it? Are such issues likely to be taken up too?
They are, and they're akin to dreamers in this country. People who've come at 2, 3, 4 years age. They've been here most of their lives, gone to school here, rooting for the sports teams here, and then suddenly they realize that their parents may no longer have legal status, their own status may be jeopardized, or even if they were born here, they're not going to live here without their parents. So it's a very complicated situation, and that's why we need in this country comprehensive immigration reform.
You also said that as co-chair of the caucus, you'd like to take it beyond its original goals. So what exactly are you looking at there?
I'd like to have the Indian American diaspora much more engaged in helping shape the partnership. I've expanded by 25 people already, the India Caucus. We have 115 people already joining. I'd like to get more members from both sides in the caucus. And I'd like to look at specific legislation that can strengthen the defense and technology and economic ties.
And what role do you think the Indian diaspora has played over these years in strengthening the ties between the two countries?
Well, it's been an extraordinary economic success story here in the United States, and certainly they have helped deepen the technology ties. India has been a huge market for many companies in the United States, and the Indian American community has been highly regarded as contributing back to America, and that has created a positive impression of Indian Americans and I would argue by extension India in the United States.
Do you think there's more interest in India from the West, especially from the US, as a counter to China, or is it on its own merit and standing?
Well, it's both. I think India is also looking to the United States to make sure that China doesn't emerge as a hegemon. For a long time, they looked to the Soviet Union because the United States was more aligned with Pakistan and China during the Cold War. And India had to look to the Soviet Union in part for protection against China. That has changed, and now India is looking to the United States. And the United States wants to see there being multipolarity in Asia. We don't want to see China emerging as a hegemon.
Final question to you. You've often spoken up for human rights values yourself. You look at incorporating that while being the co-chair of the caucus as well?
Absolutely. I mean, we will speak about the strategic partnership, and the strategic partnership will transcend any particular president, prime minister, party, or even generation. I mean, this is a strategic partnership for 100 years. But we also have to speak about our values, and those values for the United States are democracy, pluralism, the respect for people of all different backgrounds. I believe India has some of those similar values, and when those values are not being upheld, we should speak out, either if they're not being upheld in India or the United States or anywhere around the world.
Ro Khanna, thanks for speaking with NDTV.